Welcome back. This story is static security analysis of Tizen apps. So Tizen, as I had to remind myself, is apparently a Linux distribution for mobile phones. Care to disabuse me of this at all, Russell?
Exactly right. Who sponsors it? Is it Samsung or is it?
Yeah, Samsung. And so static security analysis refers to not running the program to work out security aspects of the application. You are merely looking at the source code. However, one of the slightly interesting things with this is they're not looking at the source code, they're looking at the intermediate code which LLVM generates. And apparently the LLVM intermediate code is quite nice for this. It's low level, but it's not. You still have enough information from the original source.
Sure. I mean, they'll get to solve the halting problem like everyone else on the planet has. I mean, it's a complete and utter waste of time. No, seriously.
Well, don't hold back, Russell.
They gave an excellent illustration there. If we want to prevent someone from reporting your GPS location to a web socket somewhere on the net, and therefore we have to analyse the path between when you read the GPS port and then you spit it out the network. Well, like, really?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things where the mobile phone operating systems have a much better security model. I'm not necessarily saying implementation here, but you can hand out a large list of capabilities to mobile phone apps.
We were at dinner tonight, but we were talking about torrents of bullshit at dinner tonight. And this, you literally cannot take a GPS. I've read the GPS port, he's written it out the network port.
I hope that our audio person has found the bleep button. Well, yeah, but, you've got to start somewhere.
With a mathematical impossibility?
Yeah, that's the halting problem is a mathematical impossibility. There's many programs that you can trace to prove certain assertions about programs.
So just so everyone understands my incredulity, the point of this exercise is to prevent apps getting into the Tizen marketplace that take the GPS location and send it out the network socket. They're using static analysis to prevent malware. That is their goal.
Yes. There are many static code analyzers that you rely on every single day. Why have you got such a significant problem with these guys doing the same thing?
Because when I use a static analyzer, I use it to find my bugs and I fix them. When the bad guy's using this static analyzer, they'll use it to find the things that they detect and bypass them.
Sure, but that's just the security war. That's how it's always going to be. That's how it's.
Yeah, right. Publish your weak spots and let them bypass them. That's just. It must have been a slow news day. I'm sorry. It's just.
Well, I thought there was some interesting tidbits in there. The number of apps that they looked at was rather dismal. They only looked at 30 apps or so, which I thought was a bit crap.
I'm surprised they found that computationally feasible.
But the interesting thing from my point of view is that even with the large number of capabilities that you can restrict mobile phone applications to, a lot of people still just click OK on these things. And we know about this. And a lot of the time you are forced to click OK on these things because there's no way of installing the app without rejecting it.
No, this is the point. This is Google's Android's bullshit security module.
Just for the record, that stare might have been at a Google employee.
Who has nothing to do with Android these days.
So, in Apple, if you download an app and you find that it is trying to write a contact, you can say at the moment that happens, no, I do not want you to write that contact.
Right.
In the Cyanogen, if that's how you pronounce it,
Yep. Which is the free
Android, free Android, implement exactly the same feature.
Not quite.
Not quite. Mark has said this is bullshit. Mark.
So now the camera's focused on the voice that's not on the camera, so I'll pretend not to say anything.
You don't have a microphone anyway.
Exactly, but my voice is apparently loud enough to be not heard over there.
It'll probably cover.
It may. The iOS model is ask at the intent, so the app just simply writes to the contact, and then the user gets interrupted. The Android model is permissions declared up the front. So in the case of the actual app that was released inadvertently at one point with one of the earlier Android versions, and the Cyanogen guys kept it, you can actually restrict apps to permissions that they do ask for.
A subset of what?
Yeah, so an Android app can be deployed saying, I need nothing special. I need the ability to run and display stuff on the screen and get your input. The basic fundamentals without which there's no point having an app. It's perfectly valid to have an app that just has those permissions. It needs nothing else. You can then have an app which says, oh, and by the way, I need to access the internet. So it's perfectly valid to install an app on your phone that says, hey, I need to access the internet. What you can do with this Cyanogen mod thing is you can say no. You can actually install the app and then prevent it accessing the internet. So it allows you to take away permissions you've already granted. But the model is still, here's my permissions profile, how do I handle it? The point I'm saying bullshit on is, in Apple, the apps, the authors expect this behavior. They have a long list of functions that they expect to sometimes fail because the user said no. In Android, they expect that once they've installed the app, they don't have to check for an error. Other than basic, hey, it didn't work, they'll try it again, they'll back it off, which means this thing still needs, the model is still broken. The model is still permissions at front, not permissions at runtime.
My understanding of what Cyanogen does is if you ask for access to the GPS and the user denies it, what you get is a bullshit location. It doesn't actually fail.
But that's the thing, it's failed, and it's worse than failure, because now it's given bullshit answers. How much disk free do you have? 5 trillion terabytes. Oh, it appears it will take the lifetime of the universe to fill this with porn. This app will not work. Uninstall it. If that's the app you install. Bullshit answers are actually worse.
It depends on the point of view. What location you're in. I'm in my mistress's bedroom. Giving somewhere else is probably an acceptable answer.
Well, if you install a screensaver, and the screensaver says, this screensaver...
Where's your mistress's bedroom?
That's the one in Kevin, not the one in Marsden.
This went off the rails somewhere at a point in time.
But more seriously, it's actually a complicated thing to introduce properly, to say apps can expect calls to now fail.
I haven't seen any explanation for why Google removed that app from
Nor
the
have I.
store.
Please send your email to legal@google.com.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting, I think.
Part of the problem, I mean, the problem is complex, particularly for apps that install you saying, I effectively want to display ads because I wouldn't give you this program otherwise. So Google has no way or no permission that says, I want to display ads. The permission is, I want internet access, which is not exactly the same thing. Google, of all companies, could fix this by having an ad server on there. I mean, not that they're much into ads, but if they were, they could have an ad server up there and that served ads to these little apps, and they could say a permission to use that ad server, and then internet access was a separate permission. But they don't even do that. We've gone completely, this has nothing to do with Tizen other than it's a complete wank.
And on that note, we'll finish this one.